$5 a day. That's it. That's the number quietly stealing $300,000 from your future, and almost nobody notices until it's too late. Well, wait, seriously, from just coffee?
Just coffee. $5 a day, every day, is about $150 a month, and roughly $1,800 a year. Doesn't sound scary yet, right? But here's the twist. If you took that same $1,800 every year and invested it in a simple index fund, averaging 7% returns, over 30 years it grows to more than $170,000. Stretch it to 40 years, a realistic working lifetime, and it crosses $300,000. All from a habit that felt completely harmless in the moment, every single time you bought it, without thinking twice.
So are you saying just quit coffee entirely?
No, and that's actually the biggest misunderstanding people have with this whole idea. This isn't about coffee specifically. It's about a mindset shift called opportunity cost. The idea that every dollar you spend today isn't just gone, it's also every dollar that money could have become if it had been invested instead. Rich mindset people instinctively ask, what does this cost me in the future? Poor mindset people only ask, can I afford this right now? Same $5, completely different lens. And that lens alone is the entire difference between two totally different financial futures, 20 years from now.
Why does something this small even matter that much?
Because small purchases are invisible in a way big purchases simply aren't. If you're about to spend $500, your brain slows down, you compare prices, maybe you sleep on it for a night. But $5, nobody hesitates, nobody thinks twice, it just happens on autopilot without a single moment of consideration. That's exactly the danger. It's not the size of the expense that destroys wealth, it's the repetition. A once-a-year expense doesn't compound in any meaningful way. A daily expense compounds relentlessly, silently, for decades, until one day the number is simply too big to ignore anymore.
Give me another example, something other than coffee.
Food delivery is a perfect one. Average order with fees and tip runs about $25. Someone ordering 3 times a week is spending roughly $75 weekly, which adds up to around $3,600 a year. Double the coffee example. Invest that same $3,600 annually at 7% for 30 years, and you're looking at over $340,000, purely from redirecting delivery money into growth instead of convenience. And that's just one habit, for one person, doing nothing differently except where the money ends up going afterward.
What about subscriptions? Those feel small too.
Subscriptions might be the sneakiest one of all, because at least with coffee, you're consciously choosing it every day. Subscriptions run in the background whether you use them or not, silently charging your card month after month. The average person has somewhere between 8 and 12 active subscriptions, streaming, apps, gym memberships, cloud storage, and studies show people underestimate their monthly subscription spend by almost 50%. If that adds up to just $60 a month you're not fully using, that's $720 a year disappearing for nothing, which over 30 years invested is still well over $70,000 lost to things you completely forgot you were even paying for.
What about something bigger like credit cards?
This is where it gets genuinely dangerous, because credit cards flip the entire equation upside down. Instead of losing potential growth, you're actively paying growth to someone else. If someone carries just $3,000 in credit card debt at a 22% interest rate and only makes minimum payments, they can end up paying back nearly double that original amount over several years, all while their balance barely moves. That's not opportunity cost anymore. That's active wealth destruction. And it's the exact opposite of what small, consistent investing does for you over time.
So it's never really about how much someone earns then?
Exactly. And this is the part that surprises people the most. Someone earning $80,000 a year who tracks their small leaks and invests consistently can end up wealthier than someone earning $200,000 who never pays attention to where the small money goes. Wealth isn't built by how much you earn. It's built by what you do with the money that quietly slips through your fingers every single day. High income without awareness just means bigger leaks, not more actual wealth at the end of the road.
If the math is this obvious, why doesn't everyone just do it?
Because this was never really a math problem. It's a psychology problem. Our brains are wired for immediate reward over future reward. $5 spent right now feels real. It gives you something tangible in your hand immediately. $300,000 in 30 years feels abstract, almost fake, because you can't touch it today, you can't see it, you can't spend it right now. Scientists call this temporal discounting. We naturally undervalue future money compared to present money. It's not weakness, and it's not stupidity. It's biology working against you by default, every single day. unless you build something to counter it.
So how do you actually beat biology?
You stop relying on willpower and you build a system instead, because willpower runs out and systems don't. The most effective trick rich mindset people use is automating the decision entirely. The moment money comes in, a percentage moves straight into investments before it ever touches your everyday spending account. No daily decision, no temptation, no willpower required at all. Poor mindset says, "I'll save whatever's left, over at the end of the month." Rich mindset flips it completely. Invest first, and simply live off whatever remains, treating savings like a non-negotiable bill instead of a leftover afterthought.
What's lifestyle inflation, and how does that connect to this?
Lifestyle inflation is when your spending quietly rises every single time your income rises, so you never actually feel richer no matter how much more you earn. Someone gets a raise, and instead of investing the difference, their $5 coffee becomes a $7 coffee. Their small apartment becomes a bigger one. Their old car becomes a newer one. The $5 coffee trap and lifestyle inflation are actually the same root problem. Small, comfortable upgrades that feel harmless individually, but quietly consume every extra dollar you ever earn, forever keeping you at the exact same wealth level, no matter how much your income grows.
People track every single purchase then?
No, honestly, trying to track everything will burn you out fast and ruin your entire relationship with money. The smarter approach is picking just one or two of your biggest repeating expenses, the ones that happen daily or weekly on autopilot, and becoming deeply aware of just those. A one-time purchase, like a nice jacket or a vacation, isn't the problem, and it never was. It's the daily coffee, the repeated deliveries, the forgotten subscription, the stuff that repeats without thought, that quietly drains decades of future wealth without ever feeling like a big deal in any single moment.
What's a common myth people believe about this whole idea?
The biggest myth is thinking this concept is about being cheap or depriving yourself of small joys in life. It's actually the opposite. People who understand this concept often spend more freely on things that truly matter to them, because they've already redirected the money that used to leak out unconsciously. The goal was never to eliminate every small pleasure. It's to make sure your spending reflects a conscious choice, rather than a default habit you never actually examined even once.
Can you give a real-world style example, like comparing two people?
Sure, let's imagine two friends. Same age, same job, same salary of $60,000 a year. Friend 1 spends $5 on coffee daily, $25 on delivery 3 times a week, and $60 a month on unused subscriptions, all without tracking any of it. Friend 2 spends on all the same things occasionally, but automates $400 a month straight into an index fund the moment their paycheck lands, before they even see the money in their spending account.
And after a bunch of years, what's the actual difference?
After 25 years, assuming the same 7% average return, Friend 2 ends up with roughly $320,000 sitting in investments, completely separate from savings or retirement accounts. Friend 1 has almost nothing extra beyond whatever their employer retirement plan forced them to contribute. Same income, same job, same lifestyle on the surface. The only difference was one decision made once, and then automated, instead of decided fresh every single day for 2.5 decades.
That's such a small difference in daily life, but a massive difference in outcome.
It's the entire point of this whole conversation. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to be broke, and nobody wakes up one day and suddenly becomes wealthy either. It's thousands of tiny invisible decisions, repeated so often they stop feeling like decisions at all, quietly compounding in one direction or the other for years, without you noticing which way the scale is actually tipping.
Does this connect to generational wealth at all? Or is it just personal?
It connects directly, actually. Families that build lasting wealth across generations almost always share this same habit of treating small, consistent investing as non-negotiable, regardless of income level. It's rarely one huge windfall that creates generational wealth. It's usually decades of unremarkable, boring, automated decisions that nobody outside the family ever even notices. Meanwhile, families that struggle to build wealth often aren't earning less. They're simply leaking more, invisibly, through exactly the kind of daily decisions we've been talking about this whole episode.
What tools can actually help someone do this without overthinking it?
Honestly, you don't need anything fancy. A basic banking app that shows spending categories is usually enough to spot the one recurring leak worth addressing. Most banks now let you set up automatic recurring transfers into a savings or brokerage account for free, which is exactly the system we talked about earlier. The tool matters far less than the decision to actually automate it once and let it run untouched for years.
Okay, give me the real step-by-step someone can follow starting today.
708. Step 1. Track your spending for just 7 days. Not forever, just enough to see your real patterns clearly without judging yourself. Step 2. Identify your single biggest recurring small expense, the one that shows up almost daily or several times a week. Step 3. Calculate what it actually costs you per month and per year, the exact same way we did with coffee and delivery. Step 4. Make a conscious choice. Keep it fully if it genuinely adds value to your life, or redirect even half of it toward investing instead. Step 5. Automate that redirected amount immediately so the decision never has to be made twice, and let compounding handle the rest silently in the background for years to come without you thinking about it.
Happens if someone starts this late, like in their 40s.
It still works, just with a smaller runway. And honestly, that's exactly why starting today matters more than starting perfectly. Even redirecting that same $1,800 a year for just 15 years at 7% still grows to around $45,000, which is real money you would have simply spent otherwise. The lesson isn't, it's too late. The lesson is the best time was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, because compounding rewards whoever starts soonest, regardless of age or income.
That's a heavy realization. So where should someone actually start tonight, right after listening to this?
Boy, tonight, before you go to bed, open your banking app and just look. Don't judge. Just look at your last 7 days of transactions. Circle the one thing that repeats the most. Tomorrow morning, calculate what that one thing costs you per year using the exact same math we did with coffee. Then decide, just once, whether to keep it fully or redirect half of it into an automatic transfer you set up before the end of the week. That's it. That one small action, repeated for years, is the entire difference between the $5 coffee trap owning you or you owning it completely.
I actually feel like doing that right now.
That's exactly the reaction this episode was built for. Awareness without action changes nothing. But awareness followed by one small automated decision changes everything, slowly, quietly, and permanently, in your favor for the
If
rest of
someone remembers just one thing from this episode, what should it be?
That small, repeated decisions shape your financial future far more powerfully than big, rare ones ever will. The $5 coffee was never the real villain. Not knowing what it was actually costing you. That's the villain. Once you can see it clearly, you can flip it, and that single shift in awareness is the entire difference between staying broke on autopilot and building real wealth on purpose. One small redirected decision at a time for the rest of your life.
$5 coffee trap. Small enough to ignore, big enough to change everything.
Go do the math on your own daily habit right now. You might be